welcome to my channel. I am Manaka, and this is my channel, Manaka, where I talk about everything from spirituality to basically the things that I'm going through in my life and sort of like what epiphanies I've come across, what I've learned, and all of that. Today I wanted to talk about my journey with Christianity. Today I am not a Christian. I stopped being a Christian in 2013. And I'm going to try explain the different sort of things that have happened or processes that have happened to get me to the point that I'm at right now. Okay, so my grandmother was she was a hardcore St. John's Apostolic Church woman, right? I was unfortunately raised I would say unfortunately because of where I'm at in Africanism at the moment, but I was unfortunately raised to learn English before Betty. So even when going to church with her, I never really understood the hymns. I never really understood the Bible verses that they were talking about. Yes, I understood them, but they was always really deep. Like, I don't know if you've ever read your native tongue's Bible. That is proper languages. Like, literally, that's some deep ass Betty. I've tried reading it before. Yes, I understand it if I like slowly like read through it and try to understand it. Even Xhosa I kind of understand, Zulu I kind of understand when I read it slowly and try to articulate what's going on, right? But it is the deepest form, in my opinion, of the language. It's the same as if you take a King James Bible, which is supposedly the truest form or the less changed form of the Bible, right? So the King James, if you look at it, it uses Old English. And Old English is I would say, the most purest form of English because that's the one that hasn't been changed so much. But anyway, I used to go to the St. John's Apostolic Church with my gran. Then when I could make up my mind to not go to the church because I didn't really like it, I stopped. But I was still going to churches. I really... especially when I turned around 11, 12, I really loved your Hillsong type of churches, where it was mostly praise and worship than anything else. Sort of praise and worship and praying in tongues, like whatever. Like, can't believe I used to do that. Anyway, and the biggest thing I realized is that in your reality, in your truth, in your bubble, fact of the matter is, the less spiritual you are, the less likely you are able to be empathetic and understanding of other people's experiences and what other people are going through or what they believe. Because you believe your truth is literally the small, tiny little boleki that you are in, basically. So, yes, when I was a Hillsong sort of churchgoer, yes, I loved church. I loved my Sunday worship. I loved it. I loved listening to Hillsong once in a while. I mean, I was still, at the time, I didn't go that much. I went when I was invited. And I would definitely say the difference was I wasn't fully sort of into it at that time. Then I left high school and I started living with my cousin. And now my cousin, where they stayed, there was always a bus from the church that was close by in Lone Hill that we'd always go to. I forget the name of that church, but I love that church. That church was good. And the only reason I love that church is because it still allowed me to sort of embrace who I was. But still make me feel guilty about who I was at the same time. But anyway, to me, that's what Christianity is. It's literally a way to make you feel guilty about who you are, and what you're doing, right? Anyway, I started going to that church. That was also a Hillsong type of church, a lot of praise and worship. I think for me, the praise and worship was something that I enjoyed more than I enjoyed the actual sermons. And it's weird, but those churches, the sermons were always the same. Yes, you could always sort of, what's the word when you, what's the word? But you'd always feel it, right? You'd always think that it's for you. You'd resonate. Yes, you'd always resonate with those sermons because they talk about the same thing that's happening. It's like being a psychic and skimming the surface of your client's life, because everybody's going through something. Everybody is looking for love. Everybody's looking for money, even if they're a millionaire, you know. That is not truth, you know. If you're skimming the surface, if you talk or say the same verses over and over again, but you're not digging deep, well, I mean, are you really teaching the truth, you know? Anyway, I love that church. It really allowed us to sort of be within ourselves, and it was very now. It was very now. It was like, yes, you can have a tattoo. Yes, you can have piercings as long as your heart is pure, you know? And yes, you can drink here and there, but also remember not to like act fucked up at the same time, you know? Like, it was like, yes, I'm young and I want to do all these fun things, and I don't want to feel like I'm judged by God, Jesus, or whoever I'm praising, you understand? And I mean, it made me feel good, but I still kind of felt bad at the same time, you know. I loved my church days. Like Saturday, listen, Saturday was Groova time. Saturday was a day that I am dancing. I am drunk AF. Friday, Saturday, I'm drunk AF. Sunday, whether I have a babalas or not, I'm at church. I'm praising, you know. I'm like, God, forgive me for my sins, you know, type of shit. And then that was my life. Wednesdays, I think it was Wednesdays, or was it Fridays, we had youth. And that was fun because you got to meet kids like yourself who are also Christians, who want to be one with the Lord, you know. But I wouldn't say that was the time that I was really, really Christian. I mean, that was the time when I was just like, I love Jesus, you know. That's the time that I realized that. And I'm just like, I just want to be part of this. Then some stuff happened, and then okay, 2010, 2011, then 2012 I started staying with one of my other friends, right? And she had started going to the SDA church, right? And there was just something about this church that compelled me to want to go as well. And I can tell you from first off that the thing I loved about it is that it connected me back to how the St. John's Apostolic Church was. There was just something about it that connected me back to my grandmother. And it really just it really made me feel closer to her. And I think that's probably how I started getting closer to her spirit. I sort of opened up to who she was. The difference was this was obviously a English church. I mean, SDA, they have all the different ones, but this was a English one where they used the King James Bible, as I said before, the old English, the true English, not the one that's been changed now, the one that's still connected to what's that language? Oh God, I'm so bad. English. Latin. There we go. So the same English that had a lot more Latin, and we sort of understood the Latin words more than we just thought the word was just what it was. Understand? Cool. This was a church that taught more of the seventh day, hence the word Seventh Day Adventist, right? It taught more of when the day ends. And I think this I really loved this about this church because to me it taught truth. In that bubble that I was in at that time, it taught truth. And weirdly enough, I can tell you right now that it does. But to an extent that you really need to have an open mind to understanding everything, not just in a way of a Christian, but in a way of somebody who wouldn't be a Christian, if that makes sense. Anyway, they spoke of resting on the seventh day. Now, seventh day, you weren't supposed to work, right? And rest was a form of going to church or praising within your home. I could be wrong, but this is what I learned, right? The day itself ended at 6 p.m. and not at midnight. So your Sunday, for example, would start at 6 p.m. on a Saturday. And then that's what also brought me into like opening my mind about time and what we've been taught and all of that, and how we've been taught that Sunday is the seventh day, where, and you know, like just really just rewiring the mindset and just sort of changing that. It was a time where I learned about healthy eating. You know, there's a lot of churches that teach us not to eat pork and not to eat crab, shellfish, but they don't explain why, right? And I think for me, SDA was a bit more of a place that allowed you to open your mind to what was there. But you also need to remember that when you are taught about what is there, you are also, if you're in a bubble of something that you find so true and certain, there will be things that will come to you and you won't see them as truth. You will just see them as another thing or another form of knowledge, right? Okay, cool. They taught about the ways to eat. I was actually vegetarian for that year. So 2012 to probably the end of 2012 or the beginning of 2013, I was a vegetarian for that time. And it wasn't bad. I mean, I was also a vegetarian because it was kind of hard times at home, but it was also a good excuse to be a vegetarian because meat is expensive as fuck. But being a vegetarian is also expensive as fuck, but that's a conversation for another day. Then it also taught about dress. This is also the part that connected me to my grandmother, on how as a woman you cannot wear pants, that we should be wearing dresses, that we should be covering ourselves and not be showing off skin, basically. But it taught it in a way where it connected it to Bible verses, and it also connected it in a way, and it taught us like history. But obviously I didn't connect that history to, say, African history or the truth, or what I consider the truth in this day and age, or let me say in this day today. It also taught about okay, and the hymns were exactly like St. John's apostolic hymns. Like every time I heard those hymns, I'm like, this tune, I know it, but I never knew the words, because for me, the baby ones, I was just like, oh. And I mean, St. John's was a very clappy kind of church, and it did sort of bring out, I would say, the spirit in me, because the thing about Africans is that drums and clapping and dancing and sound is us. That's our nature, right? And putting that into the church kind of makes church seem more connected and real for us, in my opinion. Cool. Then they also taught about hair. They taught about weaves. And the connection, obviously I only started making it when I was spiritual, because you start learning these things of how hair is your connection to spirit. This is how you connect to the higher beings. This is how you connect to God, is with your head, right? Your crown chakra. And if you cover that with somebody else's hair, or you try to connect with somebody else's hair, like, fact of the matter is, weaves are made of somebody else's hair. That's their essence. Whether they had bad luck or good luck, You are inheriting almost everything that they had, and you are sort of covering your inner self and who you could be, right? Like, I'm not saying I have anything against weaves. Like, you can wear your weaves and stuff like that, but don't do it all the time, because you're definitely blocking your connection to your higher self. You're blocking your connection to your inner God and to the messages that your ancestors of light and guides of light are trying to tell you. Yes, I'm not saying that if you have natural hair, you're more likely to not be hypnotized, but there's so many different factors that we don't actually, like, if we could just connect to all of them, we'd be so powerful. They also taught us about how red lipstick, if I can remember what they said about red lipstick. Red lipstick was something that was used in Egypt, right? Red lipstick was used by prostitutes and witches in Egypt, I believe. I don't remember, but this is something I learned in SDA. Imagine that. We even learned about eyeliner and how eyeliner was used in Egypt as a protection, right? They taught us about the eyeliner and how the Egyptians used the eyeliner to ward off evil. But in the way they taught it, like, my memory is very sketchy, right? But I know that I learned, or I saw, a lot of this information first from SDA. And I think the books that what was her name? I think her name was Ellen White, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Ellen White. The books that they really wanted us to learn from or study from or understand. So obviously you study the Bible, right? And literally we studied the Bible. I read the Bible. That was the first time in my life I read the Bible from Genesis. I'm just going to say Genesis because I don't remember what the first, whatever, verse 1, whatever. From the beginning all the way to Revelations, the very last verse. I read every single verse. I read it like a book. And when I say I read it like a book, I read it to understand it, right? But as I said at the beginning, when you understand something in your own bubble, you don't understand it at the full capacity. Like, even now, me being a spiritualist, for example, I might only understand things in my capacity of spiritualism, and maybe my capacity of the things that I've learned in the past about Christianity, about ancestry, about Africanism. That's where my knowledge stays. Like, yes, I might have an open mind, but until I go through the other things, I'm pretty sure I won't understand it to that perspective, if you understand. But anyway, you should read the Ellen White books. She was actually really good. But I think my only biggest issue is, number one, and I'm not racist, guys. I love white people. But there's a lot of white people who have an agenda. And yes, not all of them, but there's a lot of white people who have an agenda. And it's funny that the woman that we were supposed to follow in SDA was white. The one who knew the truth, who knew the truth about all this shit, was white. Anyway, it brings me back to, like, what I was saying about human design. Like, why the hell did it come to a white guy? But I mean, I guess, right? The energy of ideas will go through where it needs to go through to be known, right? But yeah, everything I learned, like even Credo Mutua. We watched videos about Credo Mutua when I was in SDA. And I get it that a lot of the things that happens in every single one of our lives individually is obviously sort of, it's like a door to what we'll find in the future. And those were definitely fucking doors to what I was going to find in the future. It's the same as how I was gifted by her friend's mother, crystals. I was gifted small crystals when I was like 8. And they were beautiful little crystals, beautiful little stones. And I just looked at them. I didn't know what the fuck they were, but I loved them. They were gorgeous. You know? I loved bath salts. I loved bath oils. I loved stories like Charmed. And I'm like, I'm psychic. I know I'm psychic. But I thought it was a lie, because all of these things, they make it as if it's they always make these kinds of things fiction, right? So that the rest of us, when we start feeling it or seeing it, we don't believe it. We start thinking we're crazy, right? Brings me back to, somebody said something about how, or was it a thought I had? I don't remember. About how, what if every single person who is taken to a mental institution is not because they're actually insane or crazy, but because they saw something that the normal society and environment they're in does not believe in? What if they just saw a ghost? What if they started speaking to the dead? And because everyone else didn't believe it, what if they started seeing people's futures, you know? And because the people didn't believe it, they thought, this one is crazy. This one's insane. This one has been bewitched, you know? But anyway, that's just my 2 cents. But I'm gonna tell you right now, my journey through Christianity brought me to where I am today. Like literally, yes, in SDA they did, they definitely were big on telling us about the fact that the dead are dead. You know, how Jesus Christ is going to come back, and the rapture is going to be for the ones who are true, you know, the ones who are living truth. And within Christianity, there's so many truths. So it's kind of like difficult to say who would be raptured. Like even now in spirituality, they do say there is a rapture, but the rapture isn't people being taken. It's just the 5D showing itself, right? But how do we know that's true? Because that's my bubble, right? But in the experience that I've had with Christianity, I think I've allowed myself to go through enough of all of it, from being extremely judgmental of other people who are just living their lives and finding their truths, which is Christianity. You literally being taught to be judgmental as fuck of other people, even though you were in the same boat just days, maybe months ago, okay? It's also about not being open-minded enough to try to listen to other people's stories and their truths. But I do understand that that's something that we all sort of have to go through in order to come out on the other side. And the biggest reason why I stopped being Christian was because I realized that what is the fucking point of being something where every day I'm scared? Like, why should I be scared about things that I love? You know? Like, I'm scared that I'm going to live my life the way that Jesus says I should, right? But maybe that one day I would have forgotten to ask for forgiveness or something, or it was just before I asked for forgiveness, then I die, then I go to hell or something. But yeah, I think it's all a state of mind, in my opinion. And this video might be really controversial and stuff like that, but honestly, I just wanted to state that a lot of the things I learned about spirituality and Africanism was through SDA. And as much as they did say that the dead are dead, that's when I got to a point that I started realizing that, yes, we are all human, but we all have paths that we need to acknowledge and understand ourselves, right? So that's exactly what I did. I left the church and I started trying to understand what it is that I believed in, what it was that I thought was true, and what I thought made sense. So I looked more broader to the universe. I still prayed. I still pray to this day, but obviously the higher beings that I pray to are much more different. And I can totally say I'm happier because I've allowed myself to accept myself for who I am and what I want out of life in this moment. So I think that's the difference. That time I was just scared, I wanted to drink, but I felt like if I drank, what if I die tomorrow and then I go to hell? Like I was always scared. And I also find it funny how the commandments are literally commands. Nobody wants to be commanded. Whereas if you look at I'm going to put it on the side here. I forget what it's called, but it's something that was in Egypt. They have the 42 sort of alignments or something like that. But they are said as affirmations. Being able to affirm yourself every day is better than looking back at like something where you feel like you're continuously being judged. Like I can tell you right now, when I was Christian, I used to judge the shit out of myself and judge the shit out of the people around me. Right now, I just watch other people judging each other. And yes, I'm still judgmental. I'm judgmental as fuck. But I can literally look at myself and say, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, at least now I can do the shadow work and really work with myself. Look within for the answers and not without, And the biggest thing for me was to be able to live a life that was free. I want to be able to do what I want to do without feeling like I'm going to be tortured or whatever in hell forever. And yes, obviously you need to because there's good and there's bad in everyone, right? There's yin and there's yang, there's dark and there's light. But you need to be able to merge the two because all of it is you. All of your experiences are you, right? And once you realize that there is no way you can be all light all the time. And I'm not saying be a bad person, but you are human. You came as a spiritual being down to earth to experience humanity, to experience life as it is. Yes, it's fucked up, but that's how you learn. Literally, this is gonna go a bit too far, but if the Bible was real and not figurative, in my opinion, the Bible is figurative. If you actually read all of the Bible outside of Christianity, if you read it as if it's more of a figurative sort of lessons and journeys, that's how you'll understand it for yourself. If you look at the English, more of the old type of English and how the words are stated and the meaning of the words, then you'll actually understand it. Because the Christ consciousness and Jesus Christ are two totally different things. Jesus Christ was created into a whole human being, right? Whereas the Christ consciousness is already within you. It's just about building up all those certain different parts of you, dark and light, to get there. Yeah, I'm super nervous to post this, but I'm gonna post it anyway because I needed to say this shit. Okay. But yeah, I think if you're still a Christian, I have nothing against you. I don't have anything against anyone who's any religion. I just hope that you believe that that's your truth. I hope you're not doing it because you think somebody says, like, you think that you're going to get something out of it in the end of the day. I hope that you're doing it because you are happy with it, that in that bubble of yours that you are your happiest. Simple as that. I hope you're not doing it for anyone else, no other human, and I hope you're not doing it for Jesus. I know you, like as a Christian, you would be doing it for Jesus, but I hope you are not doing it for Jesus. I hope you're doing it for yourself. So that at the end of the day, whether you make it to heaven or not, that you know that you lived your life the way that was best for you. Because I can tell you right now, when I was still Christian, I felt fucking bad all the fucking time. I felt sad all the fucking time. I felt like everything that I was doing was forced. It felt forced. I felt forced to go to church. I felt forced to not drink, not have sex, to get married, I felt forced. I felt forced to have the kind of relationships that seemed right, I felt forced. And then I became a person who loved the universe, then I became a spiritualist. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm at a point right now where I feel like the things that I'm doing are less forced. I feel like I'm more in flow, and I'm happier simply by changing my spiritual beliefs. Okay, yeah, I think I'm done. That was long. I didn't want it to be long, but that was long. But I do suggest that wherever you are, whatever bubble you're in, there was this other, oh God, I'm pretty sure it's gone now. Oh God, it is gone. It is gone. But there was this other part in a book that I'm reading called The Ethical Slut, where it talks about differences and different ways of living, right? And how we all sort of conform to what it is that is seen as normal and good and true. And it talked about how when we find ourselves in the unfamiliar, that we should find the unfamiliar wisdom. I'll say it again. When we find ourselves in the unfamiliar, we should find the unfamiliar wisdom. Because everything has wisdom, whether we believe in it or not. And in actuality, from my perspective, everything has a certain truth, whether we believe in it or not. But yeah, that was my 2 cents. But yeah, I actually suggest that all of you, especially the ones who are still Christians, find a King James Bible, read Ellen White especially, and open your mind to learning a bit more about the religion that you are actually in. And also have conversations with your, it's not a rabbi, what do they call those people? Your priests. Are they priests? What do they call those people who speak all the time? Anyway, I forget. I haven't been to church forever. But have conversations with them, like deep conversations, and understand where they are in their lives. Because as long as you're one of the people just looking from the outside, you'll never really understand what's going on within. Not really. And as much as you can say that other people don't know Jesus, you actually have no idea. You actually have absolutely no idea. And also, we're all living in a world where none of us really know the truth, right? We're all humans. We're all, as I said, we're all in our bubbles. We all consider ourselves right. But we'll never really know until we all go back up and we're all part of God, which is what God is. God is everything. But okay, that's another video. Need to stop blabbering. Okay, I'm glad that I got off the yes. I'm glad I got that off my chest. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will comment below and let me know what it is you have to say. Just let me know, are you a Christian? Are you a spiritualist? Do you agree or disagree with anything that I said? Let's have healthy discussions, please. No fighting in the comments. And yeah, next time I'll try to do a video about feminism, but for now we'll just leave it at religion. Just leave it here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a beautiful Mercury day. Sending you all so much love.